Here we are at the very end of Epiphany. These readings are deeply buried in the lectionary. We hardly ever get this deep into Epiphany. Easter is very late this year. But this reading from Deuteronomy is extraordinarily important, especially to the Jewish people. We see it lived out in Jewish communities. I grew up in Brookline, Massachusetts, and the entrance to everybody's house, there it was on the doorframe, a mezuzah, and in it, the covenant with God. There it was on their head, a kippah, a remembrance that they were with God. And hanging out underneath their shirts, the tzitzit, the remembrance of the counting of the laws, the positive, and also the restraining. Remembering our covenant with God in everything that we do. Later on in my life, I moved to New York City, and there it was in the Diamond District where millions and millions of dollars of diamonds were traded daily, usually done between members of that community on a handshake without long contracts to be written. It was the relationship that had been built between them, a covenant with God. Everything that was done was supposed to be with the remembrance of what God had already done for us. In the teachings of Jesus, he was concerned that these outward signs would simply remain that, outward, and that really that covenant was to be inscribed upon our hearts. As leaders in the church, as Christian leaders in the world, as those who believe that they do have this covenant with God, especially through their baptism, we need to find ways to remember, whether it be on our doorpost, on our head, in the prayer shawl, in the Bible that sits on our desk, in the prayers of the morning, that what we do as leaders emanates from the covenant that we have with God, that it comes from the resurrection in Jesus Christ, that it is blessed, informed, and the vision for the future is there in that covenant. I hope that we don't bury these remembrances of mezuzahs, kippahs, and tzitzits very late in Epiphany and don't read them again for another 10 years. But think about the ways in which we reestablish every day, every moment, every decision, the covenant that God has made with us in Jesus Christ, and how that fills what we do as leaders for the benefit of the world until Christ comes again.